Hi, and welcome to your third video for the mentor training session. In this video, we're going to talk more specifically about what it means to mentor in the broad spectrum of Atlas. I'm going to review a little bit from the previous video about triangles, and then I'm going to get into some nitty-gritty details about mentoring that hopefully equip you better to be a mentor. The triangles, if you remember from the previous video, show us it is not us who have the answers, but it is God that has the answers for us. And it's around the triangle, and it's not dependent upon us to guide our mentees, but to be there for them in their process of understanding what's going on in life, of understanding how to set aside their financial income, of understanding how to treat people better. And it all comes into that covenant identity from God, to identity, to obedience, from our King, to authority, to power. All of these are connected. And so we are not the ones providing them the answers. It is us walking along beside them. The triangles also help us understand that we are broken people too. We don't have all the answers, and we're going to mess up as we're mentors and as we walk beside them, and to have grace for ourselves. Our identity and your neighbor's identity, your mentee's identity, is crucial in order for you and for them to transform. So that covenant triangle, if you don't know who you are in your own giftings, in your own blessings from God, your mentee-mentor relationship is going to be really hard. And if your mentee doesn't know their identity, which, heads up, many might not, it's going to be hard. And so let's allow for lots of grace as we pursue this life-changing transformation in not only them, but in you. We need, and this is something we're going to talk about later as well, that we need a connection with our mentee before we can expect any kind of change, before we can expect that obedience and that power. That's the last thing. And that's like the change that we yearn for in someone. But we need the connection, we need the authority, and we need the identity founded first. And another question is, what else do you gain from the triangles? I would love to know how they have impacted you in your own thinking. And I think they show us a lot, as hopefully it's a tool for you to reflect back upon as you walk through your relationship with your mentee. I want to give you a blessing before we dive deeper into our mentor training. So this is some fuel for you, because you're going to need it. So from now on, we regard no one from a worldly point of view. We are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us. As God's fellow workers, we urge you not to receive God's grace in vain. May you go, and may we continue to know that we are God's fellow workers, and that we're here for a purpose. May you not be given your grace in vain. Now, how to mentor. This is a big question, and it might not provide you with all the answers, but hopefully it gives you some grounding and a toolkit to work from. Also, I just want to encourage you that you are not in this alone, that my job is to help you. So if you need help throughout the process, that is what I'm here for. So make sure you continue to utilize your Atlas team as well, and all those that support you. Time. So the first basic question that many people ask, that I just want to get out of the way right at the get-go, is how much time we're asking. We are asking for your most coveted thing, for your time. And what we expect is that you will meet with your mentee for 1 hour, once a week, for 1 year. That is your time with your mentee. Now, we also have mentor support sessions. So those are times for you to connect with other mentors and with me and connect and continue to learn, and to ask, like, hey, they're struggling with this. What are some resources I can have? Or like, oh, you walked through this experience too. What did you do? We want to make sure to utilize one another. And that is why we have mentor support sessions. Those are beautiful places to connect as well. So that would also be some of where your time would be spent. Now, the next question, and something that I really like to highlight, is on boundaries. So boundaries is the emotional and physical space that we place between ourselves and other people. Setting proper boundaries is important to our health. Everyone needs to set boundaries for themselves. When appropriate boundaries are not set, we run the risk of either becoming too detached from or too dependent on other people. We don't really want to have that for ourselves. And we also want to teach our boundaries to our mentees so that they don't get burnout too. Set your boundaries. That's good. But also respect your mentees' boundaries, as they will hopefully have some too. Sometimes the most loving thing that you can do is to say to a person that you care about is, I understand what you're saying, and I accept your freedom to do what you want. That doesn't mean you agree. You don't have to agree. It's their life. And that's one of the hardest things to accept as a mentor, is that your mentee is going to do things that you don't agree with. And you're just voicing something that's true anyways. They have the freedom to do what they're going to do. If you voice it, they're going to feel that freedom even more. And that's a good thing for them. And hopefully, within voicing their freedom to do what they want, they continue to come back into the relationship. And in that relationship, you'll continue to form and transform together. That's the goal. So don't set up these rigid rules from the beginning, but boundaries are important, and for you to recognize yours and their boundaries. You can see on the slide, I have a list of different things. So a healthy person has requirements for how they will be treated. That's for you, that's for them, and hopefully you think about what your specific boundaries are before and probably during your mentorship. For example, if you have a boundary that you don't want someone or other people in your house, that's a boundary. That's okay. Or maybe you love having people over for dinner, and so you want to invite your mentee into your house. Maybe that boundary is not there for you. Each person their own, you need to think through it. However, I would push back and challenge you around the topic of fear. I don't think we should have fear when it comes to our mentees. It's a relationship, and hopefully they can come and trust you as you can come and trust them. They have just as much fear about you as you have fear about them. I would suggest meeting on neutral ground to start, and then as time progresses and as relationships progress, maybe you want to invite them into other spaces. So starting with no is better than starting with yes and then retracting. So that's my encouragement to you as you continue to form your relationships with your mentees. So another point is that you want to be active versus reactive whenever possible, which is that yes and no that I was just talking about. You want to say no if you don't know what your boundary is yet before you say yes and then retract it. So you want to be reactive or proactive in developing those boundaries. Also, boundaries come emotionally. So an example is you don't want to be reactive to someone if they relapse. You want to be active and proactive in helping them making their decisions versus just getting angry or frustrated or closing in on yourself. You want to be able to communicate with your mentee and with me as you continue to go through this relationship. It's going to be frustrating. No one's perfect. They're going to be frustrated. You're going to be frustrated, but it's all with the pursuit of transformation, and it's good. Imagine if you never had someone continue to show up in your life. You've never had a good relationship with someone. you're going to be broken and you're going to be messed up, and you won't know what boundaries even look like. Within mentorship, you can slowly guide and teach them, this other person, what boundaries are and how to love others well and how to trust one another. And that is building the kingdom of God. Use your team. I've already talked about this. Use and utilize me. Ask me questions. I am here for you. Also, mentor support sessions. You want to make sure that you're attending them. They're for you. I love them and enjoy them, but they're for you, not for me. So please come to them. They are the first Tuesday of every month, and I would love for you to come, and I would be getting information out for them every month as well. And they change, the topics change, so they're never the same. Finally, within boundaries and within developing your relationship, pray for your mentee before you even meet them. And then once you do meet them, even if they aren't a Christian, I would encourage you to pray before your meetings with them. I was in a pairing session once where the mentee was very adamant, not a Christian. That's okay. What I told her was that I understand that you're not a Christian. However, I am not going to be pushing this onto you, but I believe in prayer. And I believe that this will change how we interact with one another. So I'm going to start with praying. You can participate with however it is that you want to, but I'm going to pray, and then we'll continue in our conversation. And so we prayed. And then we continued, and it wasn't a big deal for her. And if that's a conversation you need to have with me about how to approach that, or with your mentee before you even pray, I would encourage you to do so. Don't assume that they agree with you. And in fact, explain why you believe in prayer in the first place. That's a huge learning point for so many people. So take the time to do that. Take the time to pray, and also believe in your prayers. If you are a follower of Jesus, I'm hoping that you're praying for your mentee and that you believe that in the power of transformation that can happen through prayer. Finally, I have on there a little asterisk to download your folder. I have folders and lots of different tools for you. And one of the pieces of paper in there is about setting healthy boundaries. This is for you. If you have more questions on boundaries, make sure you download this, and then you can read through, like, what is a boundary? Why set boundaries? A person exhibiting healthy boundaries may say, a person displaying unhealthy boundaries may say, and creating healthy boundaries. All of these are great tips that you will need to read. I'm not going to read them now, but they're for you to download and read later. Thinking about boundaries, these are some just food for thought. We cannot control other people, but we can influence them and the growth and development of their treasures and boundaries. That is mentorship. You can't control your mentee and what they're going to do. That's the freedom that's given to them, and you should recognize it. However, they wanted a mentor, and we paired them with you. You're there to influence them and guide them and walk beside them. And that is our hope, is that you influence them and you develop them into the treasures of their hearts and their passions and their own boundaries, so that they can become even more healthy individuals. Trust that God will make his changes in their life and his timing. True letting go, true boundaries is really true faith. You're not going to change them. Our hope is that you influence them and that you're going to continue to show up to try to influence them. But their change is on them. And it's on God. And it's not on you. And I hope you find freedom as a mentor, that their change is within their own choice and their own faith in God working in their life. It's not on you. So find freedom in that and let go and have faith as you continue to show up and do the hard work and give your time to your mentee. Finally, some common questions. How do I get a mentee? Well, you attend a mentor training session, you watch these sessions. and you meet with me afterwards. You attend a mentor support session. That's not required, but it is highly encouraged, especially if this is your training video. I want you to be attending these mentor support sessions. You can get involved in your own community, get to know your neighbors and those surrounding you. That's training ground for being a mentor. After all this, the neighbor or the mentee will get connected to Atlas. So it needs to be a two-way. So you got connected to Atlas, they need to get connected to Atlas. There's a little prayer session that happens, and there'll be a meeting where you both can meet and see if it's a good fit. Time requirement, I've already talked about this. It's 1 hour a week for 1 year. 111. Plus, mentor support sessions. If there's problems, I'm here for you. Contact the Atlas team. Also, you can see our commitment to you. It will be in the folder document that you can download. If there's other questions, please let me know. I told you that I'm here for you, and I would love to try to answer those questions. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope that it's informative and that I get to meet you soon. Blessings.